The health and wellness industry may be booming, but the cost of wellness is free. If you're familiar with practice of forest bathing, a walk-in exercise that takes you inside the forest.
It was a Japanese practice called Shinrin-yoku, and I think it's an unfortunate translation, forest bathing, because people want to know, am I supposed to bring my bathing suit? Am I supposed to bring a change of clothes? Are we going to dance naked in the woods? You know, a whole bunch of stuff like that, which is no. So I've translated it as swimming in the living being of the forest. And the way that I really like doing it is to do it as a deep meditation practice, which allows us to understand our connection, our deep connection with the web of life, that we're not separate from it, but we are an integral part.
The idea of swimming in the living forest may sound strange, but it's often a new approach to cultivating health, well-being, and a greater sense of connection to life and nature.
The practice actually originated in Japan and then quickly spread to China and Korea. I think in part because so many people had migrated to the cities there, and those cities became pretty unhealthy places to be. So as a result, they were very smart. When people came, they had their vital signs taken. And then before they left to go back to the city, they had their vital signs taken again. So as a consequence, they have collected a ton of data, which supports what we already really kind of know, is that the forest is a very healing, very calming, very beautiful place because people's blood pressures are regulated, their immune systems are boosted. I mean, it's just very healthy.
The forest bathing walk was presented by the Harwich Conservation Trust. It sold out almost immediately.
I'm interested in health and energy, and I've always, since I was a child, found peace when I walked in the woods. I worked in mental health for like 30 some odd years, and during the weekends I would take off by myself and walk in the woods, and I found out that when I went in I'd be exhausted and stressed, and when I'd come out I'd feel much better. And when I heard about forest bathing, I was just so excited.
I read about this work before in other countries, but I really had no idea how close it would bring me to the forest, or what a rich and deep experience it would be.
It's an expansive experience as well as an internal one. I would highly recommend it to anybody.
The Harwich Conservation Trust holds a series of walks and talks every month as part of their local effort to encourage health and wellness and environment stewardship.
Harwich Conservation Trust is the local nonprofit land trust that preserves land across Harwich to protect water quality and wildlife habitat, scenic views, walking trails, all of those environmental elements that really create and enhance our quality of life here on the Cape. I think these days life moves so fast. And I think, especially with the access to screens, especially those ones we have in the palm of our hand, or most people do, the phones, the smartphones, they can do so much for us, but they also seem to keep us overly connected to the digital world. So I think these walks out in the great outdoors, including this forest bathing experience with Dr. Carol Marcy, is a way to slow down. And really connect in, tap into what's around us.
Fortunately, forest bathing is something you can do anywhere.
We typically go for walks. I've got a time, I've got a place, I've got a destination and back. I'm doing so many steps, whatever. I mean, it's an agenda. Throw away the agenda. Go slow. Pay attention. Be aware. You can do these walks. The beauty about Cape Cod, holy cows, we have so many wonderful conservation trails. So I invite you to do that every day.
To sign up for a forest bathing walk, visit harwichconservationtrust.org. Baby goats and their undeniable cuteness are taking over Barnstable. Goat yoga is a craze that is sweeping the nation. The idea is simple. Goats are free to climb on participants during a yoga session. Oma Goats Farm owner Courtney Harris and yoga instructor Tanya Capucci have begun weekly baby goat yoga classes throughout the summer as an activity for people of all ages and experience levels. Although many see it as a social media trend, its origins on Cape Cod stem from a therapeutic standpoint.
I started to get into goat yoga because I work with special needs adults at a special needs school called the Latham Center, where my clients have behavioral issues, and I noticed bringing them to this animal therapy that a lot of their behaviors really subsided for between 20 and 24 hours after bringing them using this therapy. They were just very zen. Their emotions were just calmed down. They were breathing. I think that the intimate relationship between these individuals and the animals really got them to just really calm down and be in the moment, which is awesome because that's what yoga is all about. It's all about union and the relationship that you do have spending time with these baby creatures, these beautiful baby creatures, is what really just helps you be in the moment. And that's what yoga is also about. It's not just about the poses. People think they come here, oh, I don't know anything about yoga, I don't practice yoga, but there's 8 limbs of yoga, and the poses, the asanas, are just one limb of it. Again, being in the moment and having union with other beasts and animals and other people is also part of it. So we started this for therapy. It just opens people's minds to, again, being in the moment and having a little compassion for animals, for themselves, for other people. And just thinking outside your box a bit.
Oma Goats Farm began with only a few Nigerian dwarf goats to help control poison ivy, but it developed into a more meaningful experience for Courtney when she discovered the impact the goats had on her son.
When we just fell in love with their personalities, and we also discovered that they had such a deeper meaning here, and my son, who has autism, really took to them and became very compassionate and very gentle, and he really learned how to care for them and pick them up carefully. And for a child who has some aggressive episodes, he is a completely calm and gentle and compassionate child when he's around the baby goats. And it wasn't until Tanya came to me with the idea of doing it here that we jumped to action and we made it happen. And with the timing of all of the babies born in May, it was really great. Probably my favorite part about it is when I'm walking around taking pictures. I have noticed that, of course, the people in the picture are smiling, but it's the people in the background who don't even know that their picture is being taken, and they are so full of joy, and they are laughing, and their head is thrown back, and they're just really, really enjoying the activity.
The yoga not only benefits people, but the animals as well. Every yoga session allows the goat to socialize and enjoy human interactions. Each one has their own name and are well tended to.
Our first class on June 1st was full of, I think we had 6 babies to start. They were all between 10 days and 3 weeks old. It was a really, really fun class. And right now they're just a couple months old, and they are getting more rambunctious and adventurous, and they're hopping up on people's backs voluntarily instead of being placed. All of my goats are my pets. I love them all very much, and all of our babies are hand-raised, bottle-raised, and the moms are milked a couple times a day, and I make products out of the milk. And as of right now, I'm keeping some of the baby goats, and the other ones who are very well socialized through our yoga program will go off to be either pets or farm companions to other homes around the Cape and around New England.
Visit Baby Goat Yoga of Cape Cod on Facebook to find out more information on classes.
Do you know what's in your drinking water? It might not be as clean as you think. PFAS are a group of man-made chemicals that have been detected in local groundwater, especially for Barnstable County residents. Steep Science Day was held this past weekend, aimed at educating the public on PFAS contamination and also revealing results from a 2018 private well study. The vision of STEEP is to avert human and environmental health impacts of PFAS exposure and is a Superfund research program from the University of Rhode Island.
PFAS is what they are, these what we call forever chemicals, so chemicals that don't really break down naturally and that have been produced by industry for various purposes, including the fighting of fuel fires, where they're particularly effective, which also led to the contamination of drinking water in various parts of the country. And then, of course, they used to make Teflon, which is used for the pans we use in our households, and they're on all kinds of coatings for stain resistance, textiles, carpets. There's no real way for us to get rid of them unless we put them through high temperature incineration.
Silent Spring Institute is a mission-driven scientific research organization that is part of Steep Science Day and contributed to the discovery of PFAS in drinking water many years ago.
So back in 2009 and 2010, we were conducting a study of emerging drinking water contaminants on Cape Cod. We were looking broadly at how hormones, hormone disruptors, pharmaceuticals, and other consumer products may be making their way into drinking water on Cape Cod. And this was before PFAS was a household name and there was a lot of awareness about the extent of contamination. So we did begin by looking for those chemicals in addition to pharmaceuticals and other emerging contaminants, and we found them first in the public wells that we tested and then in a number of the private wells that we tested too, and so we've really been thinking about them ever since.
Steep Science Day has focused on testing private wells from Barnstable County to better understand the water quality and exposure and impact of this chemical.
So back in the spring of 2018, we began recruiting private well owners on Cape Cod to take part in our study. We aim to include a total of 250 private well owners over the duration of our study. And late last year, we collected and tested samples from 101 homes on Cape Cod. These were located all throughout the Cape in 12 different towns and included many of the areas that are served by private wells. So what we were talking about today were the results from that initial round of testing. We've just shared results with participants who've taken part in our study, and we've put those results together to share with the community. Our results suggest that PFAS chemicals are commonly detected in private wells on Cape Cod, and it's certainly not a problem unique to the Cape. Nearly half of the wells we tested had detectable levels of at least one of the chemicals that we looked for. We think that one source could be septic systems. PFAS chemicals are common in consumer products, and so the wastewater that leaves our homes can pick up traces of those from our laundry or from washing items in our home that have these chemicals. And we did see that wells with higher levels of nitrate, and that's a marker of septic system impact, had higher PFAS levels. But there are certainly other sources, areas where certain firefighting foams have been used, landfills and other types of businesses may also be sources, and we'll continue to look at those in the next phase of our study.
This project will last 5 years. If you're interested in having your private well tested, there are ways to get involved.
So we'll continue to test water samples from additional homes, so people can still sign up for our study by visiting web.uri.edu/steep/wellwater, and we'll be going out probably over the winter to do the next phase of sample collection. Now we also want to sit back and look at the results in a spatial way to see whether there are any clusters of areas where the PFAS levels were higher, and to look for relationships between certain possible pollution sources and the levels in water.
The presentation took place on October 2nd at Barnstable Town Hall. For more information on the STEEP project, visit web.uri.edu/steep.